Commander Alex Reeves stared at the display screen on the bridge of the U.S. horizon. The uncharted planet below glowed a strange purple-blue in the ship's scanning systems. He had been with Starfleet for 15 years, but had never seen atmospheric readings quite like these. "What do you make of it, Olivia?" he asked, turning to Dr. Wells, who was analyzing the data. "Fascinating," she replied, her eyes not leaving her screen. "The atmosphere contains elements we've never recorded in this combination before. And these energy signatures," she pointed to flickering data points, "they don't match any known natural phenomenon." Alex made his decision quickly. "Prepare a landing party. I want to see this place firsthand." Lieutenant Grant looked up from her station with concern. "Sir, protocol states we should conduct remote sensing for at least 72 hours before any landing attempt on an uncharted world." "Noted, Lieutenant," Alex replied with a slight smile. "But sometimes you need to see things with your own eyes. The sensors can only tell us so much." 4 hours later, Alex led a team of 5 crew members to the surface in a small shuttle. As they descended through thick cloud layers, strange crystalline formations became visible across the landscape. They sparkled in the light of the planet's red sun, creating rainbow patterns that danced across the shuttle windows. "Setting down in that clearing," announced Zach, the pilot, pointing to a flat area surrounded by tall violet vegetation that swayed despite the absence of any detectable wind. After landing, the team performed standard environment checks. The air was breathable, but had a sweet metallic taste. Gravity was slightly less than Earth normal, making movement feel unusually easy. "Stay within visual range," Alex ordered as they spread out to collect samples, "and keep your emergency beacons active at all times." The planet was eerily quiet except for occasional high-pitched sounds that seemed to come from the crystal formations. As Alex walked farther from the shuttle, he noticed large tracks in the soft ground, 3-toed impressions nearly twice the size of his boot. "Dr. Wells, you should see this," he called into his communicator, but static was the only response. Alex checked his device, finding the signal unexpectedly blocked. He looked back toward the shuttle, now partially obscured by the violet plants. That's when he heard it. A low rumbling sound, more felt than heard, vibrating through the ground beneath his feet. Instinctively, he turned. Standing not 20 feet away was a creature unlike anything in the database. It stood on powerful hind legs, its body covered in scales that shifted color like oil on water. But what struck Alex most were its eyes. Large, golden, with vertical pupils that focused on him with unmistakable intelligence. The creature was massive, easily 12 feet tall when fully upright. Multiple limbs extended from its torso, some ending in what looked like hands with opposable digits. Teeth gleamed in its partially open mouth. Every survival instinct told Alex to run, but something in those golden eyes held him in place. There was curiosity there, not just hunger. Slowly, Alex reached into his pack and pulled out an emergency ration bar. The creature tilted its head, watching. With deliberate movements, Alex unwrapped the bar, broke it in half, and placed one piece on a flat rock between them. Then he took a bite of his half. For long moments, nothing happened. Then, with surprising grace for its size, the creature moved forward. One of its limbs extended, delicately picking up the offered food. It sniffed, then consumed the bar in one motion. Alex felt something brush against his mind. Not words exactly, but impressions, curiosity, assessment, interest. "Hello," Alex said softly. "I'm Alex." The creature made a series of clicks and rumbles. Though incomprehensible, the sounds had pattern and rhythm. Before Alex could attempt further communication, his emergency beacon flashed urgently. "Commander," Lieutenant Grant's voice broke through the static. "Massive storm approaching. We need to evacuate immediately." Alex looked at the creature, feeling strangely reluctant to leave. "I'll come back," he promised. The conference room of the U.S. Horizon fell silent as Alex finished his report. Captain Harris leaned forward, his expression a mixture of concern and disbelief. "Let me get this straight, Commander. You claim to have made contact with a 12-foot predator that showed signs of intelligence." The captain's tone made it clear what he thought of this assessment. "Yes, sir. The creature demonstrated awareness and curiosity beyond basic animal behavior," Alex insisted, trying to keep frustration from his voice. It understood the concept of sharing food. There was even some form of mental connection. Dr. Olivia Wells spoke up. "The biological samples we collected do show unusual neural structures, Captain. I've never seen anything like them." "Commander Reeves has been under significant stress lately," said the ship's medical officer, Dr. Pete Franklin. "Such stress can cause people to interpret animal behavior as something more meaningful." Before Alex could protest, his communicator signaled. It was a message from Galactic Council headquarters. The captain activated the main screen, and Council Representative John Pierce appeared. "Captain Harris, the Council has reviewed your preliminary reports on planet XB-742, Pierce announced. "Given the presence of apex predators you've described, the Council has designated the planet as Class X, quarantined until further notice. No landing parties are authorized." "But sir," Alex interjected, "there's evidence these creatures are intelligent. We can't just—" "The decision is final, Commander," Pierce cut him off. "Your ship is to maintain orbit for 3 more days to complete remote surveys, then proceed to your next assignment." After the meeting, Alex found Dr. Wells in her lab studying the samples they'd collected. "They think I imagined it all," he said, leaning against a workstation. "Not everyone," Olivia replied, gesturing to her microscope. "Look at this neural tissue. The complexity is off the charts. These creatures have brain structures comparable to our own, but with differences that suggest capabilities we don't possess." Alex stared at the screen showing the magnified cell structures. "I need to go back down there." "Alex, you heard the orders," Olivia warned. "The planet is quarantined." "I know what I experienced," he said quietly. "That creature, I'm calling it Nexus. It tried to communicate with me. I can't just walk away." Later that night, Alex overrode security protocols on a small research shuttle and quietly launched toward the planet's surface. He landed near the same spot as before and waited as dawn broke across the alien landscape. Hours passed. Alex began to worry that Nexus wouldn't return. Then the ground vibrated with familiar footsteps, and the massive form emerged from between the crystal formations. Nexus approached more confidently this time. Alex offered another ration bar, which the creature accepted. Then Alex began simple gestures, pointing to himself, saying his name, pointing to Nexus questioningly. The creature watched intently. After several repetitions, Nexus made a series of clicks and rumbles while touching its chest with one limb. "That's your name." Alex smiled. "Nexus. I named you well." Over the next several days, Alex made secret trips to the surface. Each time, his connection with Nexus grew stronger. They developed a rudimentary language of gestures and sounds. Alex learned that Nexus lived alone in this territory, but was aware of others like itself elsewhere on the planet. During one visit, Nexus became suddenly alert, pulling Alex behind a large crystal formation. Moments later, an unfamiliar ship descended through the atmosphere. Alex watched in horror as armed figures emerged and began setting traps around the clearing. "Poachers," Alex whispered, recognizing their equipment from briefings on illegal wildlife trafficking. Nexus made a low rumbling sound. Through their developing mental connection, Alex sensed fear, not for itself, but for others of its kind. Then both froze as a Galactic Council patrol ship appeared in the sky above them. Alex had been discovered. Alex ducked lower behind the crystal formation as the Council patrol ship hovered overhead. Nexus curled its massive body protectively around him. its scales shifting to match the purple-blue hues of the surrounding landscape. "They'll detect the shuttle," Alex whispered, though he knew Nexus couldn't fully understand his words. The mental impression he received in return conveyed understanding of danger and a solution. Nexus guided Alex through a series of underground tunnels that led away from the landing zone. The passages were surprisingly complex, showing signs of deliberate construction rather than natural formation. Once they reached safety in a cave miles away, Alex activated the small device Dr. Wells had given him before his unauthorized departure. It was a prototype neural translator based on the samples they had collected. "This might help us understand each other better," Alex said, placing the device between them. Nexus studied it cautiously, then extended one limb to touch it. The device glowed and began processing the neural patterns it detected. "Your kind, hunt mine. Many years," came a halting, artificial voice from the device. "Not me," Alex said quickly. "I want to learn about you, not hurt you." The translation was rough, but Alex learned crucial information. Nexus explained that its species once numbered in the thousands across the planet. They were apex predators, yes, but their hunting maintained ecological balance. Then alien hunters discovered valuable compounds in their neural tissues and began systematic slaughter. "Only few remain now," the device translated. "Hide. Protect small ones." "Small ones?" Alex asked. Nexus led him deeper into the cave system. In a large chamber illuminated by bioluminescent fungi, Alex was astonished to see Nexus approach a group of smaller creatures. They weren't baby versions of Nexus, but completely different species, small, six-legged beings with elongated snouts. Through the translator, Alex learned that these creatures were suffering from an invasive predator introduced by the poachers. Nexus and others of its kind had taken responsibility for protecting the smaller species from extinction. "You're not just predators," Alex realized. "You're guardians." 3 days later, Alex returned to the horizon. Slipping aboard during a shift change, he found Dr. Wells in her lab. "The council thinks you deserted," she said, looking up from her work. "What happened down there?" Alex explained everything he'd learned while Olivia examined the data from the neural translator. "This is remarkable," she said, scrolling through the information. "These beings have complex social structures, Alex. They've developed a symbiotic relationship with other species on the planet." Their conversation was interrupted when the door slid open and Council Representative Pierce entered. Alex stared at Lieutenant Grant, hardly daring to hope. "What kind of plan?" "Dr. Wells has been analyzing the neural patterns from your translator. She believes with some adjustments, we could broadcast Nexus's thoughts, not just translate them, but actually share them with others." Alex's cell door slid shut behind Sophia as Zach Miller appeared at the end of the corridor, keeping watch. "We need to get you back to the planet," she continued. "Dr. Wells has prepared a shuttle with recording equipment. I've disabled the tracking systems." "This is serious, Sophia," Alex warned. "We could all face court-martial." "Some things matter more than rules," she replied, sliding a data card across the table. "This has the coordinates for a blind spot in the ship's sensor array. You'll have 12 minutes to launch without being detected." 2 hours later, Alex guided the small shuttle through the planet's atmosphere, landing in a valley far from his previous sites. Using the neural pattern data, he activated a beacon designed to attract Nexus. He didn't have to wait long. Nexus appeared at the ridge above the valley, moving with surprising speed for its size. When it reached Alex, the creature extended multiple limbs in what Alex now recognized as a greeting gesture. "They're coming to destroy your world," Alex explained through the improved translator. "We need to show them who you really are." Nexus seemed to understand. It led Alex to a hidden entrance in the mountainside, a perfect location to set up Dr. Wells' equipment away from prying eyes. While they worked, Alex explained the plan. The modified neural translator would broadcast Nexus's thoughts and memories directly to the ship. Dr. Wells would intercept the signal and redirect it to the Galactic Council channels. "Your memories," Alex said, pointing to his head and then to Nexus. "Show them your history, your protection of other species." As they finished the setup, Alex's communicator beeped urgently. It was Zach. "They've discovered you're gone," he reported. "Worse, Pierce has moved up the timeline. The sterilization ships will arrive in 6 hours." Alex looked at Nexus, whose golden eyes reflected understanding of their dire situation. "We need to hurry," he said. Just as they activated the broadcast equipment, the sound of shuttle engines filled the air. Through the cave entrance, Alex saw 3 Council security vessels landing in the valley. "They found us," he told Nexus. "The equipment needs 10 minutes to fully calibrate. We have to hold them off." Nexus made a series of clicking sounds, then placed one limb on Alex's shoulder. A flood of mental images showed Alex a narrower passage leading deeper into the mountain. "You want me to hide?" Alex asked. The impression he received in return was clear: not hiding, finding help. Alex hesitated, torn between staying with Nexus and following this new plan. Finally, he nodded and squeezed through the passage, emerging in a vast underground cavern that took his breath away. The space was filled with creatures like Nexus, at least 20 of them, varying in size and coloration. They turned as one to regard the human in their midst. The largest of them approached, its scales a deep midnight blue. It towered over Alex, studying him with ancient eyes. Then it extended a limb toward Alex's translator. "You, friend of Nexus," came the halting translation. "We watch. Learn your words, your ways. My people are coming to destroy you." Alex explained desperately. "They don't understand what you are." "Then we show them," replied the blue creature. Outside, Pierce's security team approached the cave entrance, weapons drawn. They were met not by resistance, but by a line of massive predators standing perfectly still, with Nexus and Alex at the center. "Hold your fire," Alex shouted as the officers raised their weapons in panic. Behind them, the neural broadcaster hummed to life. Alex stepped forward, hands raised. The security team's weapons remained pointed at the line of massive creatures that stood motionless behind him. "Commander Reeves, step away from those animals," ordered the lead officer, a man named Sergeant Clark. "They're not just animals," Alex replied, standing his ground. "And if you fire those weapons, you'll never learn the truth." He gestured to the neural broadcaster, now fully activated. "This device is transmitting directly to the horizon and to Galactic Council headquarters. Everyone is about to see what I've discovered." Sergeant Clark hesitated, his fingers still on the trigger. "Pierce ordered us to secure you and eliminate any hostile life forms." "Are they acting hostile?" Alex asked quietly, gesturing to the creatures standing calmly behind him. Before Clark could answer, a blast struck the rocky ledge above them. Everyone looked up to see Pierce himself at the controls of a small attack vessel. "End this now, Reeves." Pierce's voice boomed from the ship's speakers. "These creatures are dangerous." The explosion had destabilized the cave entrance. Rocks began to fall, and Alex was knocked to the ground by a large piece of debris. Pain shot through his leg as it was pinned beneath the heavy stone. The security team retreated as more rocks fell. Through the dust and chaos, Alex saw Pierce's ship positioning for another attack run. Then Nexus was there, lifting the rock from Alex's leg with remarkable gentleness. The creature's scales shifted to a deep red color that Alex had never seen before. Through their mental connection, he felt concern and something else: protection, determination. Despite the chaos, the neural broadcaster continued functioning. Up on the horizon, Dr. Wells watched in amazement as data poured in. She quickly redistributed the feed to all ship terminals and secured channels across the galactic network. On the planet, Nexus carefully carried Alex deeper into the cave system as its companions held back the falling rocks. Once they reached safety, Nexus lowered Alex to the ground near a pool of glowing blue liquid. "My leg," Alex grimaced, looking at the badly broken limb. Nexus made a series of clicking sounds, then gently guided Alex's injured leg into the glowing pool. The pain was immediately replaced by a cool, tingling sensation. Through their mental link, Alex understood this was a healing spring used by Nexus's kind. "Thank you," he said, feeling the relief spread through his body. While his leg healed, Alex watched in wonder as Nexus and the others communicated in a complex language of sounds, movements, and mental impressions. The neural translator captured it all, sending the data to ships and stations throughout the sector. Hours passed. Alex's communicator suddenly activated with Sophia's voice. "Alex, are you there? The whole ship is in uproar. The Council is seeing everything." "I'm here," he replied weakly. "What's happening?" Dr. Wells enhanced the neural patterns. "Everyone can see what these creatures truly are. Pierce has been ordered to stand down, but he's gone silent. We think he's still hunting you." Alex looked at his leg, now almost completely healed thanks to the strange properties of the glowing pool. Nexus approached, extending a limb to help him stand. "We need to get to the ancient ruins," Alex told Sophia. "Nexus is showing me memories of a place where humans and their kind once lived together." "Humans? That's impossible," Sophia replied. "This planet was only discovered days ago." Through their strengthening mental connection, Alex saw glimpses of the past, ships like the Horizon landing centuries ago, humans working alongside Nexus's ancestors, a harmonious colony that somehow had been lost to history. "There's more to this story than anyone knows," Alex said. "Tell Dr. Wells to keep the broadcast running. We're going to show everyone the truth." As they prepared to leave the safety of the cave, Nexus suddenly tensed. A mental warning flashed between them. Pierce was close, and he wasn't alone. Alex and Nexus moved cautiously through the dense jungle that surrounded the ancient ruins. The neural broadcaster hung securely from Alex's belt, continuing to transmit everything they experienced. 3 more of Nexus's kind followed behind them, their scales shifting colors to blend with the changing environment. "How much farther?" Alex whispered, though he knew Nexus could sense his thoughts. The mental impression he received in response suggested just beyond the next ridge. They crested the hill, and Alex stopped, stunned by what lay before him. The ruins weren't primitive structures as he had imagined, but the remains of an advanced colony. Half-buried domes and crumbling spires spoke of sophisticated architecture. Most striking were the carvings visible on the walls, clear depictions of humans and Nexus's species working together. This was a human settlement, Alex breathed. But how? When? Nexus led him to a partially intact building at the center of the ruins. Inside, protected from centuries of weather, was a faded plaque. "New Horizon Colony, established 2167. "That's nearly 300 years ago," Alex said, running his fingers over the inscription. "A lost colony." The sound of engines suddenly filled the air. Alex and Nexus took cover as Pierce's ship circled overhead, followed by 2 larger vessels bearing Galactic Council markings. Alex's communicator activated. "Commander Reeves," came Dr. Wells's voice. "Are you seeing this? The entire Council is watching your feed. The historical implications are enormous." "Pierce is still hunting us," Alex replied. "And he's brought reinforcements." "Not reinforcements," Dr. Wells corrected. "Those are ships sent to detain Pierce. Admiral Bennett herself is commanding the operation. Your broadcast changed everything." Before Alex could respond, a blast hit the ruins near their position. Pierce had spotted them. "This ends now," Pierce's voice boomed across the valley. "Those creatures are worth billions to the right buyers. Their neural tissue can revolutionize medicine. Under the right patents, of course. So that's what this is about," Alex said, understanding dawning. "Not safety concerns. Profit." Pierce's ship descended, weapons charging for another strike. Suddenly, the ground shook as dozens of Nexus's kind emerged from hidden entrances throughout the ruins. They formed a protective circle around Alex and Nexus, their scales glowing with shared purpose. Through the neural broadcaster, Alex felt their collective consciousness, not just thoughts, but memories spanning centuries. He saw the colony's founding, the peaceful coexistence, then a terrible disease that forced the human colonists to flee. Nexus's ancestors had remained as guardians of the shared home, waiting for the humans to return. The largest of the creatures stepped forward, its ancient eyes fixed on Pierce's hovering ship. It raised multiple limbs in a complex pattern, and suddenly every crystal formation in the ruins began to glow with intensifying light. "What's happening?" Alex asked, feeling the air charge with energy. The mental impression from Nexus was clear. The ruins contained defense systems, built by both species, activated by the Guardians only in times of greatest need. Pierce's ship was suddenly caught in a beam of light. Its engines failed, and it descended roughly to the ground. The Council ships landed nearby, and armed officers rushed out, quickly taking Pierce into custody. A tall woman with Admiral's insignia approached Alex, her expression grave but respectful. "Commander Reeves, I'm Admiral Kate Bennett. The Council has seen everything through your broadcast. We had no idea about this lost colony or the true nature of these beings." As they spoke, Dr. Wells and Lieutenant Grant arrived in a shuttle, rushing to join Alex. The neural patterns show these creatures possess intelligence equal to or exceeding our own, Dr. Wells explained to the Admiral. And they've maintained the ecological balance of this entire planet for centuries. Admiral Bennett nodded, looking at the gathered creatures with new understanding. The sterilization plan is canceled. As of now, this planet is under protection as a first contact scenario. Pierce struggled against the officers holding him. "You're making a mistake. Do you know what their neural tissue could do for medicine? For profit? That's exactly why they need protection," Admiral Bennett replied coldly. "From people like you." As the sun set over the ancient ruins, Alex stood beside Nexus, watching humans and Guardians beginning a new chapter of cooperation, healing centuries of separation. 3 months had passed since the remarkable events at the ruins. The valley now bustled with activity as researchers and diplomats worked alongside Nexus and his kind. Temporary structures dotted the landscape, carefully positioned to avoid disturbing the ancient colony remains. Alex stood on a ridge overlooking it all, marveling at how much had changed. Beside him, Nexus watched with golden eyes that reflected the setting sun. "The Council vote is today," Alex said, though he no longer needed words to communicate with his friend. Their mental connection had grown stronger with each passing day. Through this link, Alex felt Nexus's mixture of hope and concern. The Galactic Council was deciding the permanent status of the planet and its inhabitants. A small shuttle approached, landing nearby. Dr. Wells stepped out, her face breaking into a smile when she saw them. "It's done," she called, hurrying over. The Council voted unanimously. The planet is officially recognized as the sovereign territory of the Guardian species, with protected status. Alex felt a wave of relief wash through Nexus, echoing his own feelings. "And Pierce? Found guilty on all counts," Olivia replied. "Illegal hunting, attempted genocide, corporate conspiracy. He'll spend the rest of his life in a penal colony." The three walked together toward the main research camp. Scientists from a dozen worlds now studied the unique ecosystem of the planet, learning how the Guardians maintained perfect balance among hundreds of species. At the center of the camp stood the neural broadcaster, now expanded into a full communication array. It allowed direct connection between human minds and the Guardians, breaking down barriers of language and biology. Admiral Bennett met them at the entrance, extending formal greetings to both Alex and Nexus. "Commander Reeves, the Council has a proposition for you," she said. "We're establishing a permanent diplomatic outpost here. We need someone to serve as the official human representative, someone who understands both worlds. Alex looked at Nexus, receiving immediate encouragement through their link. I would be honored, he replied. Later that evening, researchers and guardians gathered for a celebration. Dr. Lane, the project's medical director, raised his glass in a toast. Thanks to what we've learned from our friends, he announced, we've synthesized a treatment for Palmer's disease. The neural regeneration techniques of the Guardians have shown us what was impossible to see before. Across the galaxy, millions of people suffering from the devastating neural disease would soon find relief, not through harvested tissue as Pierce had planned, but through cooperative research and shared knowledge. As the celebration continued, Alex slipped away with Nexus to visit their favorite spot at the edge of the crystal forest. The massive formations glowed softly in the twilight, their colors shifting in harmony with Nexus's scales. I never imagined this outcome when I first saw you, Alex said, sitting on a fallen log. The most feared predator in the galaxy, they called you. Nexus made a sound that Alex had come to recognize as laughter. Through their connection, he felt gentle amusement. The image Nexus shared was Alex's own face that first day, wide-eyed with fear, then changing to wonder. Many more Guardians had emerged from hiding as news spread of the peace agreement. Their population, while still small, was growing again for the first time in generations. The next morning, Alex stood before a communications array, preparing to address the Galactic Council one final time before they closed the session. The lesson we've learned here is perhaps the most important in our history of space exploration, he said, with Nexus standing proudly beside him. What appears dangerous may simply be different. What seems alien may be a friend we haven't yet understood. As the transmission ended, Alex felt a familiar touch on his mind. Nexus sharing an image of the future. It showed humans and Guardians traveling together to distant stars, a partnership of different beings united in common purpose. Yes, Alex agreed, placing his hand on his friend's massive shoulder. That's exactly what we'll do. As the planet's red sun set beyond the ruins of the old colony, it cast long shadows that seemed to connect the past to the present, and illuminated a path toward a shared future that neither species could have achieved alone.